Thank you, Chair. I'll just start by saying thank you to Mr Verheyen. What with the forthcoming referendum on the UK's continued membership of the European Union, this report perfectly underlines the mindset of what the European Union is really about. This report sets out ideas on a relationship between the EU and the UN. It's basically a further grab for power, in that it seeks to challenge UN hegemony in some areas while seeking to increase the EU's role at the expense of member states. It's also ludicrously proposing a world government, which I think not just shows a lack of realism, but also a willingness to spend even greater amounts of taxpayers' money on pointless and expensive legislatures. To my mind, points 2 to 6 are the most contentious, as they propose doing away with the French and British permanent seats on the Security Council and being replaced by a single UN seat. The system of both the UK and France being permanent members of the Security Council, which I must add came at a huge cost both financially and far more importantly in blood and tears, has led to peace and stability since the last World War and through the most dangerous of times such as the Cold War. The UK and France, who as we all know often disagree, but they have been able to make quick express decisions in the Security Council which reflect their national interests, something that cannot be said for the European Union. The UK is also a major component and nuclear partner in NATO. This is vitally important in being heard and respected in the Security Council. How can it be in the European Union's interest to give up 2 seats in return for 1, albeit it furthers an expansionist EU into the national security interests of member states? No French or British MEP, Mr Chairman, could support this and genuinely look their electorate in the eye. And that's without even mentioning the revolving membership of the Security Council, which of course has been enjoyed by many member states. I cannot emphasise enough how the Security Council has worked successfully since its inception, and it is based broadly on the major nuclear powers. Notwithstanding the CSDP, the EU is not a nuclear player. Furthermore, it has a poor track record in dealings with Russia. It's my contention that the EU could actually bring the UN Security Council to a complete standstill. The appalling record of the EU in disputes such as the Balkans means that there would be little confidence in you to get things right. If you're unable to deal with problems in our own backyard, why should you be given the opportunity to further involve yourselves in global crisis? And then there's the issue of consular responsibility. Within the budget proposals is yet another attack on member state sovereignty. The proposal for EU delegations to take on consular responsibility is completely unnecessary. We have a system that has worked for centuries and is enshrined in the relevant protocols. There is a clear process in the case of a member state not having an embassy in a particular country. It doesn't need an EEAS undertaking or duplicating this role. It's just another case of unnecessary expenditure, unnecessary meddling, and highlights how, in an organisation, the European Union is searching for a role and trying to justify its very existence. Point 6 is yet another grab for power and setting up new organisations where none are needed. Point 8 is associated with looking to bring successful organisations such as the World Bank under control of these new bodies. The World Bank is one of the more responsible funders. They can learn nothing from the European Union that hasn't signed off its own accounts for the last 19 years. Point 11 proposes necessary reforms of the UN. This from an unreformed, unaudited European Union. As Alanis Morissette once said, isn't it ironic, don't you think? Mr Chairman, I think I've said enough. Thank you.